Hey, how's it going? My name's D. Bit of a somber one for you. I uh, I have a I have more than three watches, as you know, and as I consider my watches, my watch collection, and I think about all those times I heard about someone saying that a watch was special to them because it was the watch they wore when they got married, or the watch that they wore when their first child was born, etc. I guess that you know wearing a watch during important events cements the relationship between you and the watch. You've seen the same things together. You've chewed the same dirt, so to speak. I always heard about this, and I knew about it, and I respected it, and I got it, but I never experienced it. None of the watches I'd ever owned had ever been that way for me, or had, I don't know, I guess, I don't think that none of them had ever been around long enough for that to happen. But that's different with this watch. And the video you're about to see was shot several weeks ago and edited several weeks ago. And it's about this watch, the Omega Seamaster Professional Titanium. A watch I've been after for quite a while, and a watch that was with me through some very tough times. I lost my mom, and it's been a rough 2 months and an even rougher 2 weeks. But this here watch was with me through it all. It was this watch came in, and I started wearing it, and it just so happened that when I had to go to the hospital, and the days subsequent to that, it's the watch that I was wearing. It's the watch that was convenient, close by, and I could tell day over day as I was going to visit her, as I needed a watch, that I had a companion with me. This watch was with me through it all, day in, day out. Whew, wow. This watch. My mother hated talking with me about watches. Eventually, I am going to do a watch collection review of hers, and I'm going to do my level best to cut in some footage of her and I talking about watches. But she hated it. She absolutely could not stand talking about watches with me. It's so funny. Even in her last days, as I had a captive audience with her, I asked her, "Hey, do you want to watch some TV, or do you want to watch do you want to watch some hobby of hours videos?" She was like, no interest. And it makes me laugh because otherwise I'd just be crying. And it was really funny how much she did not enjoy talking about watches, considering I'd spent so much time trying to get her into it, or at the very least, get her to indulge her son. But she was a great mom, and me and my brother, we were able to be with her through it all to the very end, holding her hand. And this here watch was with us and with her through it to the end. And as such, it's earned a permanent place in the collection. And it's now one of those watches that, for the lack of a better way of saying it, was with me. And I love you, Mom. I miss you. And this one's for you.
Yo, I'm still driving. Want to talk about an inbound bogey. We got a hot one coming in. Omega Seamaster Titanium. All right, let's check it. Welcome back to this hobby of ours. Another road trip edition. Today, talking about a watch I've got coming in. I haven't received it yet. I'm going to pick it up. And it is an Omega Seamaster Titanium. I love titanium watches. I've heard a lot of people say they don't like it because it's too light, feels not cheap, but not flimsy, but it's so light. You know, inherently, things that have weight somehow equate to having value. My buddy Frank was telling me that keyboards, Roland's, whatever, whenever they got super duper popular post 80s, 90s, he had cause to take one apart or do something, and they purposely put lead weights in there to make it feel heavier, which was absolutely hilarious to me. Because the electronics needed to make a modern keyboard, light, plastic, all that, they literally put weights in there so that when people carry it, it feels substantial. And I don't know, maybe that's the detracting factor for people who don't like titanium watches. I love it. I also really love the color of titanium. It's like that gunmetal gray. The only titanium watch that is not that, I think, is the Grand Seiko titaniums. I think they're high polish. But I love titanium watches. And this one is one I've been hunting for a while and finally got it. And it's inbound. And there were two I was looking at. And there's actually 3 Omega Seamaster titanium watches that come out around about the same time, variations on a theme. And the first one has that electric blue dial, and its bezel insert has blue printing in the numbers. The next one, the one that I got, has like a black to dark gray dial, and the insert has black printing. And then there's the 150th anniversary titanium one that has a different colored date wheel and has an highly unusual, highly suspect engraving on the side of the case that says Seamaster Titanium. I don't know, I like that model a lot. It came with a really cool looking scuba gear case thing that is just really cool. I like cool packaging. I don't like absurdly large packaging, but I like theme packaging. There's a Fortis Ducati Cosmonaut chronograph that I'm going to do a video on that came with hilarious packaging. The Ducati, basically it was a Ducati gas tank packaging. Super neat. So, separate video on that. I realize I'm all over the board today, but I'm excited. Talking watches. So, that 150th anniversary one, I would have not inscribed that on the side. I don't know why they did that. The thing to remember is titanium is very difficult to work with. So, it was no small feat to engrave it on the side and have it look any semblance of good. I like that dial. I like the contrasting date wheel. But I also like the date wheel on the one that I got coming in, where it's, pretty much uniform. This watch has 2 highly unusual characteristics. When I was, the electric dial, not for me. If you got it, you love it, awesome. I wanted something a little more subdued. And So this watch has the black lettering on the bezel, but I was thinking of getting it and modifying it because I like the blue print on the others. And this watch I found, again, out of Japan, already had that bezel insert on it. Now, it's not clear to me whether the previous owner modified it. Probably not. Or certain numbers of these models had that bezel insert. I'm going to have to do some research on it, because I think this is from late 90s. I think it's mid 90s to late 90s. It doesn't have the skeletized hands of the Brosnan era. It has the sword hands, which is post 93, so it must be 96 to 98. Really excited to get it in. But the other thing that is different about it is it has an error. And by error, I mean defect. There's a minor scratch on the crystal. And normally I wouldn't go for that. Because it's sapphire, and you generally can do nothing with a sapphire crystal in terms of fixing it. And one of the reasons why I prefer acrylic Essilite is polywatch. You can take any scratch out, by and large. Although I did have a Hamilton khaki years ago that came in with a crystal error. That was sapphire. And I bought diamond paste, and I got it out. And if I'm being honest, I don't know how I did that or why it worked. So I'm hoping the diamond paste will help me on this one. But even if it doesn't, I wanted to get this watch. I've been looking at it for a while. I should have bought it a year ago when I started looking at it, because the price has gone up and it's only going higher. The more that Rolex gets out of reach for the buying public, the more attention there's going to be on Omega watches and their dive line. And I didn't want to wait until this era of Seamaster is like so vastly over what I could have bought it at, that I end up not getting it or regretting it, whatever. So I got in. I got a little bit of a discount, not much. But even so, if I have to swap this crystal, a crystal swap in and of itself is not expensive. However, Omega certified repair houses, like Omega itself and so forth, will not swap a crystal without doing a full service. The service mafia. At it again. And when you take your car in for service, you don't get your entire engine changed because you've got an air compressor leak or a fuel line this or a whatever. You go in and you get your muffler fixed because your muffler is what needs fixed. So I haven't discussed it with my watchmaker yet, but I'm reasonably certain if all that's needed is a crystal swap, that he would indeed perform the crystal swap. And if there's something else needed, obviously, then it's relevant. But it's not going to go into the service pipeline if it does not need a service, which is awesome. And again, another reason to get an honest watchmaker, right? The concern sometimes with bringing watches in out of Japan is that if it's not a complete set and it's one of the watch dealers, they tend not to come with all the bracelet links. This one does, and so I won't have to incur bracelet link upcharge costs either. So that's another reason. But I have to say, I gotta be straight. The reason I went with this one, even with the crystal issue, is I don't have to deal with swapping the bezel to the insert that I really, really want. Now, the black printed bezel insert, gorgeous, probably would have been just fine. But that blue, that little pop of color, it looks great to me. So I'm excited to do it And I think it is time that we unbox it. There you have it. Omega Seamaster 300 Titanium. Running like a dream. Thank you to the JDM. Much appreciated as always. And we're going to keep on hunting those waters. Why not? Hope you enjoyed this little Hobby of Hours episode. And enjoyed getting to see one of this. I guess this is kind of a rare bird. You know me, I love sharing rare birds. If you like this watch, get one. Get them while they're hot, because this era is definitely going up. All right, we will catch you in the next one. Hope you have a great day.